Hey, I'm David Jones with Poolside Tech. In this video, we're going to walk through the Attendant and the Attendant Mini and give you a high-level look at how the system works and what makes it different. But more importantly, we're going to show you what premium automation actually looks like today. Because automation has evolved, and what you're about to see is very different from the traditional on and off systems most people are used to. This is smarter, more connected, and built to actually understand what's happening at the equipment pad. So, with that, let's dive in. So, before we get into the system itself, it's important to understand what we mean by premium automation. Because when you look at the technology we use every day, everything has evolved. Your phone has evolved, your car has evolved, and your home has evolved. Everything has become smarter, more connected, and more aware of what's happening in real time. It doesn't just respond, it anticipates, it adapts, and it gives you insight. So when we talk about premium automation, that's really the expectation. Not just control, but a system that actually understands what's happening and responds accordingly. And that comes down to a few key things. First is the experience. This should be something homeowners can open up and immediately understand. Something that feels modern, intuitive, and actually enjoyable to use. Imagine opening an app and instantly knowing what everything does without having to learn the system. Second is complete control. One platform that brings everything together from filtration to heating to lighting and chemistry, all managed from a single system. Third is flexibility, because no two pools are the same. You need a system that works across new builds, existing pools, and for residential and commercial installs without forcing you into one way of doing things. And finally, scalability, the ability to take what's out there today and elevate it into something smarter, more connected, and easier to manage. So instead of thinking about this just as automation, think about it as a smarter way to own, build, and manage a pool. A system designed around visibility, flexibility, connectivity, and simplicity, not just for homeowners, but builders, service professionals, and anyone responsible for managing the pool experience. Because this is where automation is going, because the standard for automation has changed. So, this is the attendant. And to really understand what it helps to understand why it was created in the first place. This wasn't built to just be another automation system, it was built to solve a problem. There's been a noticeable gap in true innovation in pool automation for a long time, especially when you compare it to the rest of the technology we use every day. So instead of trying to improve on what already existed, this was built from a different starting point. Poolside Tech is a technology company, not a traditional pool equipment manufacturer. So the system was designed with a different mindset, one that focused on connectivity, real time data, and how the system should actually behave in a modern environment. But just as important, it was designed to be easy to use. Because at the end of the day, this isn't for an engineer standing at the equipment pad, it's for a homeowner using an app. So everything was built to make sense without a technical background. Something you can open up, understand immediately, and feel confident using without needing to learn the system. The goal wasn't just better control, it was to build something smarter and easier to use at the same time. And that's what led to the attendant. Now let's take a look at how the attendant is actually built, because this is where all of that intelligence we just talked about comes from. At the core, the system is designed to both control equipment and continuously monitor what's happening at the pad. On the control side, you've got high voltage relays for direct control of equipment like pumps, lights, and auxiliary features. And then you have valve actuator outputs to manage water flow, switching between pool, spa, and water features. So that covers physical control. But where this really starts to separate itself is in how it communicates. The attendant is completely brand agnostic. It uses RS-45 communication to interface directly with a wide range of supported equipment. So you're not locked into a single manufacturer. That means on a real world equipment pad where you might have a pump from one brand a heater from another, and a different supporting component, the system can bring all of that together into one unified platform instead of everything operating independently. It allows an entire pad to operate as a system. Now, on the monitoring side, it's constantly taking in data. That includes temp sensors for water, air, and solar, flow switches to confirm proper circulation, and system feedback on how equipment responds to commands. It's not just sending signals, it's verifying performance in real time. And all of this is supported by robust connectivity. The system includes dual band Wi Fi antennas supporting both 2.4 and 5G networks, and a hardwired Ethernet port for a direct, stable connection. So, whether it's wireless or wired, you've got a reliable connection between the system and the app at all times. So, from a technical standpoint, you've got a controller that is managing multiple types of equipment, communicating across different platforms, monitoring real time system conditions, and keeping everything connected and coordinating. That's what allows the entire equipment pad to function the way it should as one complete system. So, this is the Attendant Mini. And to understand where it fits, you have to look at a gap that's existed in the industry for a long time. Traditionally, automation has fallen into two categories. You've got high end systems with full capability, deep integration, and a higher price point. And then you've got more basic systems that are simpler but come with limited functionality. So there's always been a trade off. If you wanted something more affordable, you gave up features. That's been the standard. What was missing was something in between, a system that could deliver the same level of intelligence and experience without requiring the full hardware footprint of a large panel. And that's exactly what the Mini was built to do. It's not a stripped down system in terms of capability, it's the same platform. You're still getting the same app experience, the same automation logic, the same feature set. The difference is in hardware capacity. You've got fewer relays and fewer connection points. So it's designed for systems that don't need as much physical control, but still benefit from everything the platform can do. So instead of choosing between simple or powerful, this bridges that gap. You're not giving up what the system can do, you're just scaling the hardware to match the application. Now, let's take a look at how the Attendant Mini is built, because this is where you'll see how it scales down from the full system. Just like the Attendant, the Mini is designed to both control equipment and monitor what's happening at the pad in real time. On the control side, you've got two high voltage relays for direct control of equipment, support for up to three valve actuators to manage water flow between pool, spa, and features. So, from a physical control standpoint, it's designed for systems that don't require as many outputs but still need flexibility. On the communication side, not much changes. The Mini is still fully RS-45 capable and completely brand agnostic, so it can communicate directly with supported equipment, reading data, receiving status, and controlling operation at a deeper level. Now, on the monitoring side, you still have flow switch inputs to verify proper water movement, temperature sensor inputs for accurate system tracking, and real time system feedback based on how equipment responds. So, just like the full attendant, it's not just sending commands, it's confirming performance. And all of this is backed by the same connectivity. You've got dual band Wi Fi supporting both 2.4 and 5G networks, and a hardwired Ethernet port for stable direct connection. From a system standpoint, the Mini isn't a different platform, it's the same architecture, just with reduced hardware capacity, which means you're still getting the same communication, the same monitoring, and the same intelligent control, just scaled to match the size and complexity of the job. So that's the foundation: how the system is built, how it communicates, and how it scales across different applications. But where this really starts to stand out is in what it actually does once it's running. Because this isn't just a system that follows commands, it's constantly working in the background, monitoring, adjusting, and keeping everything dialed in. And that's where the experience really starts to feel different. It's not just about control anymore, it's about visibility, it's about insight, and it's about a system that actually responds in real time. So now let's dive into the features. One of the biggest advantages of the system is that we have two-way communication with the equipment on the pad. So instead of just sending commands out, everything is talking back. Pumps, heaters, and all system components. They're all feeding real time data into the system, and we take that data and turn it into something useful. So now you're not just running schedules, you're getting real information, actual visibility into what equipment is doing, how long it's running, and what it's costing to operate. Because for most people, that's a complete unknown. Now imagine being able to open the app and see which piece of equipment is using the most energy, which each feature is costing you to run, and how that changes over time. That's what the system provides. But it doesn't stop at just showing you the data. It uses that information along with weather conditions, historical trends, and system performance to make smarter decisions about how the systems should run. So instead of fixed schedules, it becomes dynamic, reducing unnecessary runtime, improving efficiency, and helping bring that operation cost down. So now you're not just running your pool, you actually understand it, and that's where everything starts to change. So, just like we're using real time data for energy, we're doing the same thing with temperature. The system is constantly tracking water temperature, air temperature, and how the system performs over time. But it also goes a step further. It's tracking weather conditions and even upcoming weather. So, it's not just seeing what the temperature is right now, it's understanding what's about to happen. And all of that feeds into how the system learns. It's learning how fast your pool or spa heats, how outside conditions affect that, and how long it actually takes to reach a set point. And we use that data to do something really useful. Instead of guessing when to turn on your heater, the system calculates it. So now you could set a ready by time, and the system will determine exactly when to start heating based on the current temperature, historical performance, weather conditions, and even upcoming temperature changes. It even gives you visibility into what it's going to cost before it runs. So instead of turning the spa on, waiting, checking it, waiting again, it's ready when you want it. No guesswork, no wasted runtime, just a system that understands how to get there efficiently. And once you get used to that, it's hard to go back. So now that we're collecting all of this data from equipment, sensors, system behavior, and even communication feedback, the next step is what to do with it. And this is where diagnostics really start to change because the system isn't just collecting data, it's constantly evaluating it, looking for changes in behavior, equipment not responding the way it should, or patterns that indicate something isn't right. So instead of waiting for something to fail completely, the system can recognize when something is off early. Whether it's a pump not responding correctly to RS-45, a heater not reaching its expected temperature, or flow not matching what the system expects, now you're not just getting an alert, you're getting context. You can open the app and see what the system commanded, how the equipment responded, and what changed over time. So, from a service standpoint, you're not walking into a job blind anymore. You already know what you're walking into. And in a lot of cases, you don't even need to go out. You can troubleshoot and resolve issues remotely. So, instead of being reactive, you're staying ahead of the problem. And that's a big shift in how these systems are managed. So, now that you can see what's happening in the system, the next step is being able to act on it. And this is where remote configuration comes in. Because the system isn't just giving you visibility, it's giving you full control from anywhere. Through the app, you can access and adjust the system in real time. That includes changing schedules, adjusting pump speeds and system behavior, modifying flows and feature operation, managing chemical dosing if it's enabled, and even entering or exiting installer mode remotely. So you're not limited to being at the panel to make system level changes. You can fully control and configure the system without being on site. So instead of identifying an issue, scheduling a visit, driving out to the site, and making adjustments manually, you can handle it immediately right from your phone. And from a technical standpoint, that works because the system maintains constant connectivity, commands are processed in real time, and any updates are pushed directly to the equipment or relay so there's no delay between decision and action. And from a service perspective, this changes everything. You reduce truck rolls, response time, and manual intervention while improving system uptime, efficiency, and overall service quality. So now you're not just monitoring the system, you're actively managing it in real time. So now that we've talked about controlling the system, the next piece is controlling how people interact with it. Because not every user should have the same level of access. And that's where permission systems comes in. Every user has their own unique login, so access is tied directly to the individual, not shared across the system. From there, you can define exactly what someone can and can't do. That includes what features they can access, whether they can adjust temperatures or just view status, and how much control they actually have over the system. You can also set limits like maximum temperature set points to prevent things like excessive energy use or misuse. And it goes beyond just feature control. You can define time based access, start and end dates, and automatic expiration for temporary users. So, whether it's guests at home, kids using the spa, or short term rental situations, you stay in control of how the system is used. And if something needs to change, you can remove access instantly. No delays and no waiting. Just immediate control over who can interact with the system. From a system standpoint, this helps protect equipment, energy use, and overall system performance. So it's not just about making the system easy to use, it's about making sure it's used the right way. When it comes to chemistry, this is where the system really changes how it's managed day to day. The attendant is continuously monitoring pH, ORP, and temperature probes. So instead of checking it manually, you've always got visibility into what the water is doing. But more importantly, you're not just seeing data. You can act on it from anywhere through the app. You can adjust set points, modify dosing levels, and fine tune how the system responds. So if something starts to drift, you don't need to go on site to fix it. No truck roll and no waiting. You see it and you adjust it immediately. Now, where this gets more advanced is how the system actually feeds chemicals. Instead of simple on and off dosing, it uses proportional feed, which means the further the water is from the set point, the more aggressive the system will feed. And as it gets closer to the target, it gradually reduces output. So instead of overshooting, swinging back, and continuously chasing balance, it smooths everything out. You get a much more stable, controlled approach to maintaining chemistry. And because the system is tied into the rest of the equipment, it's not just adding chemicals, it's making sure they're effective. It can adjust pump operation to improve circulation, helping distribute chemicals evenly throughout the pool. So instead of testing, adjusting, and coming back later to check again, the system is handling it continuously. And what that translates to is more consistent water, better comfort for the end user, and a lot less manual work on the service side. So now chemistry isn't something you manage occasionally, it's something the system maintains all the time. Now let's talk about freeze protection. This is one of those features that's critical, but usually only gets attention when something goes wrong. The attendant is continuously monitoring ambient temperature at the pad using the installed temperature sensor. But it doesn't rely on just that one input. It also pulls in weather data from the internet, and then it compares the two. So if the sensor is installed in a protected area, like a pump room, and there's a significant difference in temperature, the system can recognize that and it will prioritize the more accurate data source. So now you're not relying on perfect sensor placement, the system is validating what it sees. Once freeze conditions are detected, it responds automatically. That includes activating pumps, circulating water through the plumbing, and routing water where it actually needs to go. And this is where it really separates itself. Instead of just blindly turning valves on a timer, the system knows the layout of the pad. With the flow configuration built into the system, it understands what features exist, where the water needs to move, and how to properly protect the entire system. So it's not just rotating valves every 20 minutes, hoping it covers everything. It's making intentional decisions based on the setup, ensuring water is moving through the pool, the spa, and any connected features that need protection. You also have control over how it operates. If needed, you can temporarily pause freeze protection to run a feature or heat a body of water, and then allow the system to resume automatically. So it's not just automatic, it's flexible. And there's a lot of additional safeguards and logic built in behind the scenes, all designed to protect the system without overcomplicating it. So instead of relying on basic timers or assumptions, this is a system that actually understands how to protect the pad. Now, let's take a look at water level management. Starting with low water level. This is where you can run into real problems. If the water level drops too low, you risk pulling air into the system, damaging the equipment, and even affecting the surface of the pool or spa. So the system is continuously monitoring that level. And if it drops below the defined threshold, it can automatically add water to bring it back into range. But where this becomes really valuable is how it tracks that activity. You can define how long the system is allowed to run and set limits on what's considered normal. So let's say on a typical day, the system adds water for about 15 minutes. That's normal. But if one day it runs for 500 minutes, the system knows something isn't right and it'll alert you immediately. So now this isn't just water level control, it's built in leak detection. Instead of finding out at the end of the month when you get a massive water bill, you're seeing it as it happens. Now let's talk high water level. This is primarily used in negative edge pool applications. If the water gets too high, the system can activate an overflow pump to bring it back down to the proper level. The system will activate the overflow pump only when it's needed to bring the water level back into range. And just like everything else, it's not just reacting, it's monitoring, it's tracking, and it's alerting. So it's not just maintaining water level, it's helping protect the system and give you visibility into issues before they become expensive problems. So now let's shift gears a bit and talk about the experience side of the system. Because this isn't just about how the pool runs, it's about how it looks and feels. Traditionally, pool lighting has been pretty limited. You've got a handful of fixed colors, a few preset light shows, and control that's usually based on turning the light on and off to cycle through options. It works, but it really hasn't evolved much. Now, compare this to modern digital lighting systems like DMX based lighting. This is a completely different level of control. You're no longer limited to presets. You can create custom colors, build your own lighting scenes, and match things like team colors or brand colors, and really tailor the look of the pool to the space. But where it really stands out is when you tie it into music. With Spotify integration, the lighting can sync directly to the beat. So now it's not just changing colors, it's reacting, it's dynamic, and it moves with the music. It completely changes the environment around the pool. So instead of just turning lights on, you're creating an experience, something that feels modern, customizable, and actually interactive. And just like everything else, it's all controlled through the same app. So it's simple to use, but finally brings pool lighting in line with what people expect from the rest of their technology. Now, bringing it back to the system side, this is where all of that data really starts to pay off. The attendant keeps a full history of what's happening across the system. That includes equipment activity, pump and valve operation, heater usage, temperature trends, and system alerts or faults over time. So instead of trying to figure out what happened, you can go back and see it. You can track when something turned on, how long it ran, or how the system responded. But it goes a step further. Because every user has their own unique login, the system tracks exactly who did what. Every button press, every change, it's tied back to that individual user. So now there's no guessing what changed, when it changed, or who made the change. And from a service and troubleshooting standpoint, that's huge. Now, on the connectivity side, the system also tracks Wi Fi performance over time. You can see signal strength, connection stability, and how that changes throughout the day. And that's a big deal because a lot of issues people run into aren't equipment related, they're Wi Fi related. So instead of guessing whether it's a connection issue, you've got a graph that shows exactly what's happening, which makes diagnosing the problem a lot faster. So this just isn't about real time control, it's about having a complete picture of the system over time. And that's what allows you to manage it more efficiently and solve problems with confidence. Now, the last piece we'll touch on is the app experience itself, because it's not just about controlling the system, it's also about who the customer stays connected to. With the attendant, the app can be customized with the service provider's branding. So when a homeowner opens the app, they're seeing your company, not a manufacturer. That branding carries through the interface, the menu system, and the support sections. So if they need help, they're coming back to you. Not searching for a number, not calling a manufacturer, but going directly to the person who installs and maintains the system. And from a business standpoint, that's important because it keeps the relationship, the communication, and the value centered around the service provider. So it's not just better experience for the homeowner, it's a better model for the professional as well. So now that you've seen what the attendant is capable of, the next step is simply deciding how you'd like to explore it further. The video was designed to give you full overview of the platform, how it works, how it integrates, and what makes it different from traditional automation systems. But every project is different, and sometimes additional questions come up once you start thinking about real-world applications. That's why we also offer live Q&A sessions, giving you the opportunity to connect directly with our team and dive deeper into specific equipment configurations, real installation scenarios, and questions related to the type of projects you're working on. So instead of a generic presentation, the conversation becomes focused on your application, your equipment, and your goals. To schedule a live Q&A session, visit poolside.tech. Click schedule a Q&A session in the top right corner, or you can reach out to us directly at info@poolside.tech. We look forward to connecting with you and answering any additional questions you may have. We also have a full knowledge base available at poolside.support. This is designed to be a go to resource for both installers and service professionals. You'll find wiring diagrams, setup guides, equipment integration details, and answers to common questions. So, whether you're installing a system, configuring a feature, or troubleshooting something in the field, you've got access to the information you need when you need it. It's searchable, it's constantly updated, and it's built to support you through the entire process. And if you need support beyond that, remote access is one of the biggest advantages of this platform. Because the system is connected, our team can securely access the site and see exactly what's happening in real time. That means we can review system behavior, look at equipment status, and help diagnose issues without needing to be on site. So instead of trying to explain a problem or make multiple trips to figure it out, we can work through it with you directly, faster, more efficient, and with a lot less guesswork. So whether you're setting up a system for the first time or troubleshooting something down the road, you've got real support behind you. So that's the Attendant and the Attendant Mini, a smarter, more connected approach to pool automation, not just basic control, but a system that's monitoring in real time, communicating across the entire pad, and using data to make better decisions, from energy to temperature to chemistry to overall system protection. Everything is working together as one platform. And that's really the difference. It's not just about adding more features, it's about changing how the system operates, giving you better visibility, more control, and a more efficient way to manage the entire pool. That's what premium automation looks like today. Thanks for taking the time to go through this with us, and we look forward to helping you take the next step.